Hello and welcome back to PTMTR, where today I'm going to be sharing my own peri peri chicken wrap recipe. Now this should catch the interest of those of you who are trying to lose weight or into fitness because it's low fat, high protein and a very filling recipe, not to mention bursting with flavour and numerous other health benefits. Now before I start, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. I know you'll find a couple of recipes that you love. Make sure you do like and comment down below, of course, what your favourite thing is to cook. Also send this video out to that one bodybuilder guy that you know who's always complaining about dry chicken and broccoli. Anyway, let's get started by prepping our chicken. I'm using these gorgeous pieces of lean breast meat from which I'm going to just remove the chicken tenders, and then you're left with these very sort of uneven pieces of meat, a really thick side and a really sort of thin side. So we're going to find the center point and sort of butterfly the chicken by cleanly slicing along the horizontal plane. Now even that's a little off, so I'm just going to take a bit of plastic wrap and then I'm just going to tenderize the breast, which will also flatten it into an even layer. After that, I'm just going to score the chicken because this is a quick recipe and nobody has time to marinate overnight. So just make your scores and then just season them generously with salt flakes. So we're essentially doing a quick dry brine, which is going to pull out the moisture and season the chicken throughout. So just set that aside and cover it for a bit while we prep our marinade. Now I'm using a few different types of chilies here which are amazing for weight loss, onions which help your blood sugars from spiking so you don't get overly peckish, and garlic which not only reduces your cholesterol levels but is also very good for digestion. So we're just going to chop up one medium onion into chunks, and I've got about 8 or 9 medium sized garlic cloves which I'm just going to crush and then whack it into my bowl. Now this is all going to be blended, so don't worry about knife work. Follow suit with your chilies. I'm using 2 red cayenne peppers. This makes for a sort of mild marinade, and feel free to throw in some sort of green finger chilies if you've got the minerals for it. And finally, for some sweetness, just roughly chopping up an orange pepper, being careful to cut around the seeds of course, and just cleaning up any white flesh from the inside. Now I'm using this smoothie maker because I don't have a good enough food processor to puree this, but use whatever you've got. Add in about a tablespoon of salt flakes or half that amount in table salt, along with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now this is very little olive oil for a marinade, I know, but I'm trying to keep that calorie count low. Now purely because I do have a lack of space, I'm going to sort of have to stagger my ingredients between blends. You can just do this all from the start. I like to add in the zest of 1 whole lemon and just roughly chop it up and add that in, along with a teaspoon of thyme and a generous twisting of black pepper. Then I like to add in 2 bay leaves, a splash more oil because the consistency is looking a little thick, and then about a tablespoon or 2 of red wine vinegar. Once that's all fully blended in, your marinade is ready. Taste it, try it, see if there's any adjustments you'd like to make, but otherwise that's all you're going to really need. Now once your chicken has had a bit of time, you might notice that the salt drew out a lot of the moisture, which then you just want to dab off with a paper towel and try to get that chicken as nice and dry all over. And then just pour your marinade over the chicken. Now this is overkill, you can probably use half the amount I did, and the other half is good in the fridge for a week in a jar. You just want to make sure that you really get in there and massage those chicken breasts, because dry brining them and patting them dry really allows them to soak up those flavors really quickly. But obviously the longer you leave it, the better. The minimum I'd say is about 15 to 30 minutes. That'll probably do the trick. In the world of marinating chicken, that is pretty fast. Now, whilst that's happening, I'm going to prep up some basting sauce. Similar process, just roughly chopping up all these ingredients into chunks because it's all going to go into that same blender. Now I've got 2 red chilies, 1 whole red pepper, again for sweetness and for colour, and then I've got 5 cloves of garlic which I've just pounded out. Now this is all you're going to need for the base, so again go in with a pinch of salt, a teaspoon of paprika, along with the juice of that whole lemon that you zested earlier, another teaspoon of thyme, a generous twisting of pepper, a tablespoon of red wine vinegar and another tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, just to help everything come together. Now the reason I make this basting sauce separately is because of the paprika, which as a spice burns pretty quickly, hence I don't like to use it in marinade. Now I've got some of this peri peri seasoning which I just like to add in a heaped teaspoon of, just to sort of double down and concentrate the flavour, but that's that ready as well. Now here I've got my iron cast griddle super hot, which I've wiped down with some oil on a paper towel. Then when you do rest your chicken on there, this is what you want to hear. Now let it sit there for about 3 to 4 minutes, of course depending on the thickness, but just make sure you do get those grill lines, because that is what's going to offer a contrasting flavour. That charred taste up against the fresh flavours of the marinade is just amazing. And then just flip it over. Now we're going to coat only one side with the basting peri peri sauce, so it'll seep deep into the chicken. Now wait a few minutes depending on the thickness of the breasts, but until it's cooked through. Before we finish, one final step, which is absolutely optional, just to hit it out the park with that char grilled effect, I'm going to take a super hot coal and drizzle over some olive oil and then just immediately cover it, enveloping the chicken in some smoke. Now let the chicken rest in the smoke for a few minutes, and voila, homemade peri peri chicken. Now onto some other simple components. Just grab some mayo and season it down with some peri peri powder and some hot sauce, and that's basically a very quick perinase. Then on a flat pan on a medium heat, you just want to warm your tortilla up. No longer than 30 seconds, just enough to put some flexibility back into the wrap, but not long enough for it to sort of toast. But now that that's done, spoon on a base layer of perinase on the side closest to you, on top of which sits a handful of finely shredded lettuce, and then just top that off with a few of your amazing chicken strips. Then you just want to fold in the sides, and then just fold it over in half, gently tucking in the filling, making it nice and tight, folding the edges in as well as you go along. Then once you've finished rolling it up, hold it seam side down and put it back into your pan to toast it closed. Make sure you do toast both sides and get some even colouring on it. Yes, this was supposed to be healthy, but peri chips are probably a balanced diet, right? Like potatoes are good and stuff. Either way, a delicious, quick and healthy meal with some serious flavour. I won't lie, I wish I had figured this recipe out back when I was on it with Jim. And that's done. Happy cooking.